There we go.
3-day losing streak to end the week. And what happens on Monday? The Bulls come out fighting. Overnight dip. The Bulls are there again. Some mixed earnings reports, some really bad earnings reports, and some really good earnings reports. We'll cover those. Analysts, they're out there. They're liking Skechers. They're not liking CrowdStrike. I wish they would have told me that a few days ago. We're fired up. Big earnings after the close. Visa, Google, Tesla. We'll preview those. We'll talk to Derrick Oldensmith at 8:35 and see how he's handling this rotating market. It's Tuesday on PreMarket Prep.
Welcome to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep.
This is a volatile puppy here.
It's all about execution styles and strategies.
All right, let's run down the big board. S&P's up 3 1/4, 56.14, hanging up near yesterday's high. The buck up almost a dime over 104. We're getting some resistance here at the buck at 104 1/4. TLT up 36 cents, 93.01. Crude can't get back really over 80, down 35 cents, 78.05. Gold chopping around here, up 14 bucks at 24.0870. Silver going the opposite way, but trying to put a triple bottom in. That's down 8 cents at 29.24. Bitcoin taking a little breather after that straight up move from 55K. That's down $1,585 at $66,755. Let's bring on Triple B. Let's bring on AB, and let's do a little exercise since we don't know much about our audience here, except they're anonymous. Got a shirt here, Polk High.
I've wore this before. The audience knows. I've wore this a few times. But Joel,
a few times this week.
Probably. No, I've worn this at least twice on the show before. So where he's like, Joel, you go to high school there? Joel asked me, and I'm like, don't know Polk High, the famous number 33, one of the most famous football players of all time? 4 touchdowns in one game? You guys don't know.
Come on. I don't see it. I don't know.
You hadn't even heard of him. You guys all know. The chat knows. Of course they know. Of course they know.
So this is
Rick knows. Joel knows.
Oh, there are some people in the chat that
Desk, Mervini, Chill Ones, Johnny Galt. Everybody knows.
Okay.
It's obviously the great Al Bundy from Married with Children. Ed O'Neill, 4 touchdowns in one game. And then I say Al Bundy, and AB goes, I've never heard of him. I was like, how have you never heard of Al Bundy? Is this where we're at now? Is this the younger generation? How old are you, AB?
I am 27.
How has a 27-year-old never heard of Al Bundy? Have they officially canceled Married with Children and doesn't play anymore? Like, is this where we're at? It's canceled officially?
I don't know.
Because that is a show that would not be allowed to air, obviously, on most networks anymore, probably because there's a lot of offside stuff there. But what a fantastic show. That was when, it was fun. That was a fun
sarcasm.
Show. But everybody takes everything seriously now. It's such a serious world. And, you say, marriage. You're saying marriage is bad? Cancel that show. I mean, that's where we're at now. That's where we're at. It's fun. It was a fun show. Yeah.
Yep. So
I watched that. My grandmother, so I was like 14 years old back in 1990. And my grandpa passed away in 1989. My grandma moved in with us for 3 years. I'd go into the bedroom and watch that with my 80-year-old grandma. And she loved it. She thought it was great. The 80-year-old grandma said it was okay. But this today, no, they would not like Married with Children. Not the people today.
All right. So there is our Siskel and Ebert. Well, you guys probably, do you know who Siskel and Ebert
Johnny says Bundy kept me from getting married. He had an egg, Joel. Do you remember the episodes? He'd have the egg and he'd go, this is an egg. This is your egg on marriage. And he'd throw and smash the egg to the ground. Because there used to be a commercial back then. It was an egg. This is drugs, and this is your brain on drugs. And they'd fry the egg. Yeah, this is an egg, and this is your egg on marriage. And he'd throw it down to the ground and smash it. So much funny stuff from that show.
How
Yeah.
Well,
about
maybe
Sister
I'll
That's why I love the
Secret?
chat. Most of our chat knows Al Bundy, and most of the chat actually appreciates the funniness of that 19. It was number 1 on Fox for so long.
It was a
Okay,
good show.
that's our rant. That was a great show. Watch some episodes. They'd be married with children. It's good
All
stuff.
right, I got some homework. I got some homework on the show. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was trying to think when you were talking about it, who the other top fictional football players of all time. I mean, you've got some ones from Friday Night Lights. You've got Bobby Boucher from Waterboy, of
Oh,
course.
yeah,
Paul Crew
yeah.
from
Bobby
Longest
Boucher is good too.
from Longest Yard. So there are a lot, but I'll have to go watch an episode or two of
You're
Married with
making a
Children.
comeback.
You do.
AB is always making the comeback. Yeah, I mean, he has Google there, so I mean, but nice comeback there. But
It's
this
not
is
Google, Joel. It's ChatGPT now.
okay. All
ChatGPT.
right.
Who is Poke High number 33? The famous Al Bundy. 4 touchdowns in 1 game. If it doesn't say that, I'm like selling all my AI stocks.
Okay, let's go. AB is he's gonna drive. Go
All
ahead.
right, let's go to. We have a lot of earnings to get to. You mentioned it on the top of the show. Joel will go kind of in chronological order and start with yesterday afternoon. We had, of course, NXP report earnings. NXP Semiconductors reported after the close, and we've talked about it on the show how the bar's set pretty high for semiconductor companies right now. You don't really have a lot of leeway in terms
No.
of missing whatsoever. And NXP, pulling up the numbers here for that. The numbers were not great. Obviously, stock trading down 7%. So I think the top line numbers were actually decent. EPS came in at $3.20, which is pretty much in line. $3.21 estimate. So missed there by 1 cent. Sales came in at 3.127 billion, beat the 3.125 billion. So all in line there, but guidance fell short of expectations. Let's see, C's EPS of 321 to 363. The estimate was 356. So the softer guidance here driving the stock lower, getting a little haircut here, down $20 this morning.
It's a big fall here. You'd think it's going to hit all the chips, but it really hasn't. So obviously, there's a lot that are holding up fairly well here this morning. Some actually even going higher. Texas Instruments getting hit here a bit. ADI is getting hit. A lot of them were all getting hit off this initial number, but they can't stop themselves. They've turned around and spot NVIDIA back. Are starting to buy some of the stocks back up. NXPI kind of was up into the print a little bit there. Leaks 260. It's a big fall. I don't know what the expected move was. I didn't look, but 7% is a big fall. But I don't know. I'm spooked to just go catching falling knives right now because we got to talk to CrowdStrike eventually here, and it is the falling knife of all falling knives. It's like the CrowdStrike is why the textbook was written for not catching falling knives. So I look at NXPI, and you're definitely catching a falling knife, and it's like I'm too spooked to do it. I kind of want to do it, but I'm too spooked to do it. Joel, are you catching falling knives?
No, I was. You know what? Because I was, but it was the exact same thought that I had because I was thinking about the CrowdStrike. But then I'm going to differentiate because CrowdStrike wasn't earnings; they just basically pulled down like the internet. They pulled down banks, they pulled down hospitals, they pulled down credit unions, and now they're getting investigated by the government. So, so it's a little bit different of a dynamic. I look at this NXPI here, and I'm just going to look at it, just purely technically. You had several lows in the 264 area. You are trading below that right now. But man, there was now trading at 260. I don't have a specific number there, but if this gets above 264, I think you're going to be buying into a rising market, lifting offers, as opposed to right now. I'm sure you're throwing a bid out there. You're probably getting peppered on it. Pre-market low comes in at 260.11. That's where we're just trading above that right now. No, wait, it's got to be lower than that. 260.10. Is there a step down seller in there, Dennis? What's the bid offer?
It's just been leaking, Joel, and I haven't been watching the tape close enough. I can tell you it's pretty widespread right now, though. So we got 260.5 up all the way to 264. A couple odd lots offered there, 260, 270 on IRCA. If you have IRCA book, you can see it. But it's fairly wide. It's still, and there is a big bid down here, 259.50, 7,700 shares. That's a big bid for the pre-market there. So somebody, is trying to make a stand down there and
Oh,
saying,
why not? Why
down here.
not? The stock
Why not?
all-time high.
Well, that's a great question. Why not? Well, let's go to why not. Bring up the chart of CrowdStrike. And this is the only tangent we're going to go on, but this is why not. This is why we don't catch falling knives, folks. Because you know what? You're like, and Kramer even said it after the first, when CrowdStrike went that day down from 340 to 300. Kramer was saying, well, it'll bounce back. This is, great company. It's a one-off. Well, then it's fallen again, and it didn't just fall yesterday. It fell another 14% yesterday on the same headline. And again, we know ratings, come in the next day. That's why you don't buy on day one if you weren't listening to yesterday's show. We'll say it again. After day one of a slaughter, that happens, during the day, not at night, that you often see the follow-through ratings the next day. That's exactly what we saw yesterday, where we had 3 downgrades. We also had a multiple price target lowering. We even had Johnny come lately HSBC last night downgrading CrowdStrike. Maybe they bottom ticked it. I mean, it's oversold to be oversold. Probably one of the most oversold stocks now, to go from 380 to 260 basically in a heartbeat. From one of the best, cyber stocks to we can't even touch this thing in a heartbeat. You got to think there's a bounce in here somewhere. But man, timing that bounce, you could have thought that you could have thought at 300 like Kramer. You could have went 290, 280, 270. Well, it did bounce at around 260 yesterday, but man, this is a tough chart. I think you got to wait until you start to see a bottoming formation. Like, get a calendar that doesn't have a new low on it, like a daily candle calendar. Get a candle that doesn't have.
I know why you're buying it. I know why you're buying it today. For your long-term portfolio.
Why?
Because your idol's buying it.
Who's my? Oh, Nancy.
Nancy
no. Will be not Nancy.
No, not Nancy. Your other idol.
Nancy was buying this. She's down it. Who's the other idol?
Oh, come on, Dennis.
Who's buying CrowdStrike?
Your number one. No, come on, Dennis. Your idol, your favorite person to follow their investment strategies with.
Well, Warren Buffett, but he's not buying CrowdStrike.
No, Dennis. Come on, the chat's even giving.
Oh, Kathy. Of course, Kathy's buying it. Kathy, entire strategy is buy the dip and sell the rip. She honestly probably is our biggest fan. She's like a closet pre-market prep lover, because she buys the dip and sells the rip more than any other person or money manager on the face of the earth. Tesla goes up 30, she sells. Tesla goes down 30, she buys. Crowd goes down 30, she buys. Crowd goes down another 30, she buys. She is the ultimate fader. She is the ultimate contrarian. It's probably why she had a tough few years here, because she's just fading everything. She's the ultimate fader. They call her Darth Fader. She's the ultimate fader, Kathy. I finally figured her out. She's a closet pre-market prep lover, because we always like, oh, buy the dip, sell the rip, except we like to do it in the trending. She just does it, non-discretion, just buy every dip and sell every rip.
We
love you, Kathy.
AB, we've never got her on the show, and I think Raz is buddies with her. If
Raz has, she ain't come on our show. I've said a lot of bad things about Kathy over the years.
Really?
You ain't gonna get her on the show with me. There's no way.
Okay. All right. We got through that. We got through CrowdStrike. A little bit of deviation from our regularly scheduled programming. As far as CrowdStrike goes, you're up $3. There is a government investigation. You got some gaps to fill. Did you fill the gap?
Due to bounce. I'm calling it today. It's gonna have a bounce of some type, but I'm not buying it. Too scared.
Okay.
I tried to buy it last night. I thought it was gonna bounce, and then the HSBC downgrade happened, and then I was like, I don't even know now. I'm like, maybe it doesn't bounce, and I actually lost on it. I should have held.
You lost. You took a loser.
You never saw a loser. You can't take losers. I said this last night too to another break chair. It's like, you can't, on the short side, take your losers, but on the long side, just wait until it comes back.
Did you guys?
Take losers? That's sarcasm, folks, but it's kind of true. It seems like in this market. AB, bring us back in, rein us in here.
Yep. Before we move on from CrowdStrike, this was just an interesting thing I saw on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, yesterday. So from the Deutsche Bank note here. Our initial reaction on Friday was seeing a 10% pullback in a high-quality stock as a buying opportunity. However, we were ironically unable to publish our original research note due to the outage itself.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I mean,
That is
that's gotta be.
awesome.
So the company, they're doing a research note on the company, can't post the note because of the company, but they're still bullish. So, Deutsche Bank.
That is awesome.
Still got the hold on here. $350 price target for CrowdStrike. Now currently trading. What are we at CrowdStrike? You guys said
that's the funniest note I've ever that's
267.
note I've ever seen.
267.
That's awesome. Brilliant. I want to just follow that analyst. I want to bring that analyst.
Yeah, who
on
is that?
Because who is that?
You
scratched it out now.
Looks like a team. No, they scratch out their phone numbers. Not that well though. I can still figure out the phone numbers in here. Brad Zelnick, Bhavin Shah, Daniel
Great
Knopf,
job, team.
and
I love that.
Nick
I don't know about the call, but great job on that line from it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean and someone actually called it on Twitter too. Oh yeah, look, this person tweeted on July 19th. Imagine being sell sider wanting to publish crowd defend note, but cannot hit send because the systems aren't working. So this person, random Muppet trading on Twitter, called that before it even happened. So they like created this hypothetical scenario in their head, and then that hypothetical scenario came true. Wow. So shout out to random Muppet as well if you're in the chat. All right, let's get back to some other earnings though.
Earnings this morning has a pile, and it's mixed messages. The title of the show, totally mixed messages. We got stocks going up big and stocks going down big. We'll let AB lead the way.
Yeah, let's start. I like to be glass half full. So let's start with something good. We'll start with something good, sandwich in something bad, and then end with something good as well. Let's start here in Detroit. GM, General Motors, was at a lot of points in the last few years kind of written off as dead. Not dead yet. GM reported EPS of $3.06. Beat the $2.72 estimate. Sales came in at $47.96 billion. Beat the $45 billion estimate. The company raised guidance, is crushing its delivery numbers, and the stock trading higher by about 4% this morning, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for a stock like GM, 4% ain't nothing. Yeah.
It is off the highs though, and we're off the highs significantly. We kissed over $53 on the initial algo jump when they just can't stop themselves. Those algos get so excited on the buy button. Now we've given back half of that, so that's somewhat concerning. Needs to obviously hold. You wouldn't want to see that thing go from green to red, because we have seen some of that last night from some of the earnings reports here. You know what? Like you say, I've said, it is discretionary, a new automobile, but it's big ticket discretionary. But is it really discretionary? Because of your car, you need a new car. People need new cars. They got to drive. They got to get from point A to point B. It'll be discretionary one day when we're all driving robo-taxis, but right now, everybody needs a car. So, impressively enough, the automotive companies are doing pretty well in a higher rate environment. You got to think, like, when rates start going lower, it's only going to help them. So I don't know, maybe it's, a matter of just the financing. They can do it over, so they can do it over a longer period of time is how they've got around it. Similar to what the home builders did. Like, it used to always be, you finance your car over 5 years. Now they'll finance them over 10 years. So it's like the payments are still the same, except you're owning it long enough. It's kind of what the home builders did too, just extend out the amortizations, and you don't have to have these crazy payments even despite higher interest rates. So automotive companies have figured it out to a certain extent. So good on GM, good quarter. I don't know if I'm chasing it though.
Full disclosure, I know the catalyst for this tremendous move in GM, as I put on the chart, Dana. I always brag about Emily, the photographer. Well, Dana started working at GM. It was even at the end of 2023, right? That's when she started working there. Audience and personalizational lead at Cadillac, helping them out with the advertising. There is the catalyst here for your move. Big old move over $53. $53.10. I think you missed it. I think if you wanted to sell 53, we've leaked $2 off it. You can use other levels in here. I mean, there's a monthly high at like 55, 65, but I think you missed the high of the day. So if you want to throw an offer out there, maybe nibble at 52 or whatever, see where you get lifted. They got too excited on it. So that's what I'm looking on the sell side. On the downside, I mean, 49.70, that's only $1.60 away. That was the top of yesterday's range, and that was a little bit of a double top. So I'd look at that as support in GM. And then I just immediately, I see GM, I'm like, oh, I should have bought the Ford. Ford makes a big old move over the last couple of weeks too. Broke out over
It has.
13. Yep. So
Mhm.
there, and then really Stellantis. Well, that's kind of maybe the laggard trade here. Stellantis down near the lows of the move. But real nice move in GM. I mean, it looks like they're figuring things out over there, and there we go. Currently trading up $1.80 at 51.33.
The one thing going for it, though, is it is an ultimate value stock. Like, take the estimates, the 2024 estimates, and they're going up to $9.50 to $10.50. Let's just say they come middle of the range at $10. The thing's trading 5 times earnings. I mean, why don't they just do some big buybacks? Why don't they just take some of that money? And again, the
I
business
think
is
they
cyclical,
are,
so
aren't they?
are they
Are
already
they
got
not?
a buyback in place?
Yeah, I thought I don't
Yeah,
I mean, that's the one thing going for these. And I was along, everybody says I hate autos. I was along General Motors and Ford, remember, in the long-term portfolio for a very long time, saying that they were going to, be a player in EV. Stocks were just so cheap. 2020, we were along all these stocks. We did really well. And then, when interest rates started going higher, was the time to sell, and it actually worked out very well. I sold my Ford way up over 20, I think it was $21. And General Motors I had sold as well, and I think it was up around 60. So it's been a good place to be out of for the last few years. I don't know. I guess you could get back in, because if interest rates are actually going to start going down, it's going to be good. And these things are so cheap from a valuation perspective. Like, part of me wants to own some of these stocks, and part of me is like, I don't know. There's like a revolution coming here. I feel like, where, like Joel says, people won't own as many cars in the future. I don't know. So I'm mixed messages here too. The title of the show. I'm mixed thoughts on General Motors. Mixed. $6 billion buyback, Fran says, was authorized back in June. Good job. Okay. So they do have a buyback in place. Adam Aaron look at our buddy Adam Aaron's on CNBC. We should bring him on the show. Oh no, he doesn't like us.
Does he have any pants on?
Well, you can't tell, because he's just gotten. You say this and he'll be really attacking us. They're making fun of me again. But yeah, no, he's got a shirt and tie. You can't see his legs though, so definitely there's a risk there. He doesn't have pants. Do I have pants on, Joel? Maybe I don't have any pants on.
I don't. I have
you
shorts
have pants on?
Yeah, I have shorts on. I have Michigan shorts on.
Okay, we know AB's in the office. He's got pants on.
Oh, nah, I got a few minutes before other people have to come into the. What was the old like fake sports talk show where they would wear like sport coats on top and then like boxers on the bottom? You guys know what I'm talking about? Maybe it was just like an SNL skit or something.
All I know is Mark Haynes always had the suit on the top and he wore jogging pants on the bottom, and he walked into the CNBC studios like that. He just didn't care what you thought. He wanted to be comfortable when he's doing Squawk Box, the late Mark Haynes. He made that show. I loved Mark Haynes.
All right. Well, we started with something good. Now let's go to something not as great. Let's go to UPS real quick, which, what can Brown do for you? Well, it can drag down your portfolio a little bit, and that's what it's doing this morning. So UPS reported EPS of $1.79, missed the $1.99 estimate by 20 cents. Sales came in at $21.82 billion, missed the 22.18 billion. So double miss there. Outlook wasn't great. They did announce some buybacks. So, they had the revised guidance was a little bit lower than expected. They restart their buyback program, though. So that's at least something. I mean, I would wonder where the stock is trading at had they not announced that they're restarting the buyback program. Either way, stock trading down about $11.50 this morning. And UPS, I mean, now well off its highs of more than $233 down to $145. This thing not been doing great the last couple of years.
I just think and again, it's the evolution of competition here, and they have all their own problems. Unions, they just had the big
they paid
increase.
They paid up.
increase in costs, like labor costs are just astronomical over there. And then you got, no Amazon deliveries anymore. Like Joel, you know it too. Lisa goes on Amazon, Laura goes on Amazon, our wives. And I mean, that UPS truck used to be here all the time. FedEx trucks here all the time. It's all, they do their own delivery now. So I don't see those trucks anymore. My wife buys everything off Amazon. I've got to think that has really hurt them that they're not doing as many or if any Amazon deliveries anymore. So I don't know what changes. I mean, you got the number one online retailer and you're not getting their business. So, I mean, UPS is now down to where it was 7 years ago. 2017, we were 135. You can say, well, you've got a 4% dividend over that course of time. So you did okay. And you had some fun in 2020. But still, in this bull market that we've had, the S&Ps, comparatively speaking, are up about, it's doubled. It's doubled. So UPS has definitely been an underperformer. All the consolidation, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, around 120. I mean, we're coming back into that range here, folks. It's been a tough stock to own.
I was going to make a horrible joke about the Brown and what Brown could do for you if you owned the stock, but I figured I would pass on that. I mean, it's getting
intrigued.
You don't want to hear it. It would be like a PG thing. Wow. Right back to the lows of the move, down 1149. I mean, your prior low of the move is 132.90. Oh, man, 3 monthly lows in that area. I mean, I can't tell you to buy it to go long, but man, if you got jammed in this short, look at that pre-earnings run up, cooled off the last couple days. Man, you're short 141, 142. Oh no, they took out 145. They're going to 150. I'm dead meat. And then the Mr. Market helped you out a little bit. I'm short. I'm holding on at least till earnings. You're back in this area. I mean, I don't know if it's going to hold or whatever. You just have so many monthly lows in that area. I'll call it support for now. And it's also a wild stock. It'll have some good swings today. Mark down that pre-market low. See what it is. See if that pre-market low is breached and use that wherever that may be. Federal Express is really... they're holding up, man. That financial engineering, they had the gap and go off earnings. It's trading down just a little bit. I think they've been a little bit leaner than UPS, but you got a little bit of a toppy formation up there. But that's, again, market dynamics too, right? We sold off in the markets last week. Huge winning streak for FDS. So if you look FDX, Federal Express. So if you're looking for a catalyst and you're looking for a support point, next daily low comes in. I'm going to give you 297. I'm 298.30 because that split your lows from September 12th and 15th.
I know LinkedIn saying Amazon still uses. I just quickly Googled it, and as of January 1st, 2024, I'm hearing multiple reports that they're not using UPS at all anymore, Amazon. So we know they've cut it back. But like I can just tell it's boots on the ground. Like I just never have a UPS truck here anymore. It's always, their own
why, Dennis?
deliveries.
Do you know why?
No,
because
why?
They are in the process of converting all their deliveries to robo-taxis.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And the humanoid will come in and get there.
And
it's a bad joke, but we're going to be talking Tesla. We're not going to even talk Tesla on this. Well, we could. We got to preview Tesla at the end because Tesla reports here tonight. So it's a bad joke, but tonight. But there's so many other reports here. Should we go Spotify? Good news, Spotify?
Yeah, let's go to Spotify. I was between that and we had Spotify. We have a couple
Polaris. Maybe we should go Polaris. We do the bad. You want the bad news or the good news? The good news is Spotify. The bad news is Polaris. Just spoiler alert all over the place here. What do you want? Chat, PII, or Spot?
Let's start with Spotify since Joel's already got it up. The company reported. Let's see. EPS. Where I'm not seeing the actual numbers here. Let me try to find them. Oh, here we go. Again, I don't know what currency this is in, but EPS of 133 beat the 108 estimate. Sales came in at 3.87 billion, which missed the 3.81 billion. This is a Swedish company, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and guess euros here. I don't think the Swedes have their own coin. So 3.8 billion euros, missed the 3.81 billion. But the company did, let's see, did they do guidance? No, I'm not seeing it. So monthly active users was at 626 million, up 14%.
Yeah, that's
year over year. 14%. Here I was thinking everyone I know in the world already has a Spotify subscription. Where's the growth going to come from? Well, up 14% year over year. One thing the company has done the last couple of years is started targeting lower, like going to like India with like $3-4 a month subscriptions versus in the US, it's like freaking $15 now
or something.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I think I got a half dozen subscriptions here in this household.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's I was gonna say that they do, I think, have a pretty enticing like family plan because you're probably
we got the family plan. I don't know what the hell I pay, but it's not cheap.
Let's see, you're probably only paying a couple bucks more per me than month, and you're getting like 6 times the account. So let's see, Spotify family.
All my kids got one, and
wife
has one. I have one I've never logged into.
6 premium accounts under the family plan for $20 a month, and I want to say I pay like 15. That's ridiculous. I mean, why? Me and my
split that stuff up.
Yeah, me and my friends should just get a family Spotify plan and split up 6 things because it's what, like $3 an account versus what I'm paying is 5 times that.
I'm not sure maybe you can still do it that way. I'm not sure if it's got to be in the same like house or how that works. Like Netflix cut everybody off. Remember, we're all sharing Netflix accounts, and that got stopped by Netflix, and then the stock started skyrocketing. Predicted.
All right. So Spotify stock here now trading up again, about 14% growth in the monthly active users. I guess equates to 14% higher in the stock price. Stock trading up $41 this morning. Joel, what are we seeing on the charts?
I'd say anything over 332 is pretty much gravy on this. I don't know what the expected move was. I don't think it was this big. That was your high. Actually, it was 331.06. This high back here, it's $5, $6-7 above that. So if that was your target, I would say take it. If you want to hold out for the pre-market high, you got a ways to go to get there. 341. Monthlies don't really give you anything either. So just basic, open up. If this is going to be like a 350 kind of day, you're going to catch a bid off the open. You're going to take out the pre-market high and boom, keep on going. If not, the longer it takes, to get back up there, maybe you get a little bit of a fade. You got a gap down in here all the way to 300 and oh my Lord, what is that? 30072. So not calling for a gap fill here. And you know what? We are on
Spotify is one that seems to like, well, maybe not. Maybe on the last.
What's going on in the market, Dennis? What are you doing to this
market? We've been leaking.
I
told you in the pre-market.
What is going on? Do we have an economic
collapse allowed here? Check your quotes. Is SPY allowed to go down? We're actually down 50 cents on the SPY. Rotation, remember, always keeps us higher, even when their stocks just getting crushed underneath it.
We've had a big reversal of fortune here. I don't know. Maybe someone said something somewhere.
I don't know if somebody said anything.
Double top in the S&Ps. Is that it? Should I call it now? The rebound rally's over with. 16 was our high yesterday. 18 and a quarter. This is a key reversal. This is it. Women and children first. We're going back down, or is it too early to say that?
Too early to say that.
Okay.
So, okay, and then we were teasing Polaris, so I want to talk Polaris as well, PII, and this is absolutely big ticket discretionary. Like, there is nothing that is not discretionary about Polaris, everything about it. General Motors, people got to have cars to get to places. They don't need jet skis to get to places. They don't need snowmobiles to get to places. They don't need Polaris to get to places. So, it's fun getting places on jet skis and snowmobiles, but I mean, super big ticket discretionary here, not doing well. Pools, jet skis. Give us the earnings details here, AB. Oh my gosh, he pulled the Joel Elconin trick twice in a row.
Dennis,
I think.
You go on me.
I never do it.
Oh no, you just cut out 47 times in the last week.
I haven't cut out today. I fixed the problem. Because
I wish I could cut you out
anything else running on this Intel processor. It can't multitask.
It's Intel's fault. Okay.
It's always Intel's fault.
All right, big
always Intel's
EPS miss here from Polaris, $1.38, which missed the $2.23 estimate. Almost like came in at like half of what the EPS estimate was supposed to be. Sales came in at 1.96 billion, missed the 2.18 billion. Adjusted earnings guidance to reflect decision to cut shipments and expectations that current industry challenges remain in place for the remainder of the year. So
ugly.
yeah, I mean, the numbers weren't great. The guidance wasn't great. What they're talking about in terms of their expectations for the rest of the year wasn't great. It is great to actually ride on a jet ski, though. I don't know how.
Fun.
Oh, I take the other end of it. I love the water and I love water
Joel.
sports and stuff. This jet skis, and I've officially retired from water skiing. I'm not water skiing anymore. Maybe I will at your place, Dennis, if it's really calm. But man, I don't know. I mean, they just seem. I don't know. I'd rather
Can you get up on
swim
one ski, Joel? Can you slalom?
I can. Back in the day, I could drop, but I could never. I maybe a few
get up on
times.
one.
Yeah, you can. Dennis,
I can.
I was
can.
asking AB.
Oh, I can.
I
yeah.
can't go on one ski jet.
I
I'm too
can.
old for it now.
My-
Joel.
I remember
back
my-
in the day, I could do lots of things I can't do now. I'm 48 years old. I don't even get there. Who's driving the boat? Honestly, who's going to be driving the boat? You want to come up and drive my boat? You're not going to hit any. I'm in Georgian Bay. Don't hit any rocks up here.
Oh man, no.
I used
Rocks
to
everywhere.
I used to.
I was
lifeguard.
boating yesterday with my dad and two kids. The two kids actually was two. It was my sister-in-law's kid actually. And I'm like, this little area here. We were in the little boat, and I'm like, you're not supposed to go through this area, but I'm like, this little boat could probably go through this area. So I'm like, but we'll go slow. I'm like, oh, there's a few rocks. I'm like, oh no, that one's actually piercing the top. We can't even go through here. We'll stop the motor here now, and we'll just kind of float over this little area. Welcome to Georgian Bay boating, where none of the rocks are marked and they're everywhere.
Low of the day,
Gotta go where
maybe.
they are.
Low of the day, we got to get to Derrick. Low of the
Yeah, it's
day could be
8:37.
in $67, $66.93. I'd be a buyer there, but it looks like it's caught a little bit of a bid. So pick a level ahead of that if you want to try and cover short or get long in Polaris.
All right, guys, 8:37. We've kept Derrick waiting too long.
Oh my gosh,
Derrick
bring Derrick on.
Oldensmith from T3's hanging out backstage, and we've kept him captive listening to us here.
He wants to talk about water
So
skiing.
let's go ahead and bring Derrick on, see what he's looking at, see what he's been trading without further ado. All right, Derrick Oldensmith from T3 Trading. Welcome back to PreMarket Prep. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I've never actually water skied, but I'm a big downhill snow skier. So at some point, I probably got to try some water skiing.
Actually,
different.
downhill skiing is more dangerous than water skiing, I think, because when you get going too fast, you can always just drop the rope and you stop. Downhill skiing, it's like, I got too much speed here. What am I doing now?
I got a need for speed on the slopes. I'll tell you, I clocked 70 miles an hour at one point.
Holy!
Oh.
He's a young guy, though, so he's still able to do that.
Not
I'd
that
break my
young.
back.
I'm working towards 40 at this point.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
40, 30, you're still in your 30s. Man, I could run marathons back in my 30s. No, I couldn't.
You're
But
a
I like to
boxer
think I
too,
could.
right, Derek? You were a boxer, right?
I'm a retired professional kickboxer. Yeah. Fought in
Oh
the
my
UFC for
gosh,
about
don't
10
mess with
years.
this guy.
Wow. All right. Well, Derrick, what's been top of mind for you the past couple weeks? Are you trading the earnings season? What have you been watching?
So earnings season is kicking off, which is exciting, but really what's been top of mind has been this rotation trade that kicked off a little bit over a week ago. It has made this market so exciting, and there's been so much action, so much opportunity at the index level, and now we have all this action going on at the index level right as we're going into earnings season. In my opinion, this has been the best trading market that we've had all year. It's been fantastic, and the question is, does that rotation via dispersion continue or not at this point? I'm looking for the answer to that to be yes. That's what my lean is right now, especially as we're coming into big tech earnings. That'll probably actually be the real deal breaker or not on whether or not this trade can continue, is just what earnings look like from Google, which we're having after hours today, maybe to some degree Tesla, but the other, Mag 7 stocks that are just up so much this year that have led the Qs just higher and higher every day for the first half of this year. do those trades unwind? And if those trades unwind, but the S&P stays pinned, that money is going to have to go somewhere. That money then goes into the IWM, and you get a continuation of that trade. So
yeah. Do you think, like, obviously we're throwing you under the bus here because we're in Google and Tesla tonight, so that's probably going to answer a lot of these questions here, but it kind of feels like it was like the first half tech. Can it be the second half IWM? Can it be the second half where tech actually underperforms? Or do we just go and start doing the same dang thing again here, Derrick? What are your initial thoughts before the Google print? That's a scary thing to give that opinion before the Google print.
Sure. Always tricky to say, you know, what's going to happen before an earnings report, because the fact of the matter is you never truly know. But the big thing that I'm paying attention to is everyone is super, super hyped on AI. Can AI deliver in terms of expected revenue that's going to come from these companies or not? Google, Microsoft, Meta, they're spending boatloads of money right now investing in AI. What are they going to say that their revenue numbers from AI actually look like? And will the market be displeased if those numbers aren't there? I'm a little bit concerned that it could be similar to the metaverse situation from Meta with the artificial and not the artificial intelligence, the goggles. What are they called? The
Vision Quest.
Yeah, the you know, where they just spent so much money on that, and the market was like, why is Meta spending all this money? The revenue's not coming in. They're just dumping money down the tubes, and the market got sick of it. And then, as we saw, Mark Zuckerberg had to do a quick flip of the script and say, all right, you know, we're going to cut back on our spending. And then as soon as they cut back on the spending, the Meta stock was able to continue. I'm a little bit concerned that if Google and these other companies don't really deliver on expectations of revenue that comes from all their AI spend, at a certain point, the market might get a little sick of it and not want to be involved. Similar but different to what we saw with Meta on their metaverse spend. And then that will then have a secondary effect on the NVIDIAs of the world, because then Google and Microsoft might slow down their spend on those, you know, GPUs and chips to some degree. So you maybe then get a pullback in those stocks if they don't deliver on those numbers, but that money goes somewhere else. And I think that money could still go into this rotation trade where biotech could catch a bigger bid, energy could catch a bigger bid, the beaten up growth tech stocks that are down 50% on the year but have been basing could catch a bid. So that's what I'm looking for at this point, but obviously we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah, you make a good point with, like, you know, something like Google. They come out with a beat, and then you get this tremendous rip, and then, you know, they come out with, like, you know, not like super strong guidance, or they say Gemini is, you know, 3 months behind expectations or something like that, and then you get the reversal. So sometimes the headline numbers, boom, give you one thing, and then the guidance turns another. I just want to, you know, we're in earnings season, right? And fundamentals of earnings are the most important thing. But, you know, everyone, this rate cut in September, I mean, it's a slam dunk deal before the election. I mean, rates are going lower, but no one seems to be talking about it right now. And what is a quarter point cut? Is it really that much? So just wanted to get your expectations on the market's fixation with interest rates and the September interest rate cut on the table.
Sure. So it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, I think, at this point, that we're getting a cut in September. So the market is beginning to price that in. That should be another thing that acts as a tailwind for those beaten up growth stocks that I was just talking about that can create that rotation trade. It's not that it's bad for Google and Microsoft. I just don't think that where the interest rates are matters for Google and Microsoft at all. It didn't matter when rates went up. It's not going to matter when rates go down, because these companies already have more cash than most countries. So it's not like they need to raise capital at these higher interest rates, whereas your small caps and mid caps absolutely do. So I think it has a more of a positive effect there. And it's just another kind of layer of probability in my head that we can get continuation on the rotation trade that started a week ago Thursday.
Got it. And then, Derek, I guess if you're playing this rotation and say this trend continues where you're seeing money flow out of the big boys and into some small caps, do you have specific small caps that you like to the long side? Do you have specific, big cap tech names that you like to the downside?
Sure. So I like the idea of kind of having a basket of stocks right now, a portfolio of stocks, because you're definitely going to have some winners and some losers, especially as we're going through earnings season, and that can maybe spread the risk out a little bit. Maybe having some XBI exposure, which I don't personally have at this point, but I'm in like 30 or so long positions right now, and at the same time, I am short some Qs. It's hard to say as we come into earnings season exactly which companies will be the winners and the losers, just because, like we were just saying, you never know. I'm sure even if overall Mag 7, let's say, doesn't perform on earnings, there'll be one or two that go up that have a really good report that blow expectations, and then maybe 5 that come in line or miss a little bit or even beat a little bit but sell off just because they're up so much into the reports. So I kind of like the idea of having a little more broad exposure right now as we're coming into earnings season as the best way to take advantage of a continuation of this rotation trade and this dispersion trade. So you can look at biotech. I like the idea of having some energy. Personally, I have a position in Chevron, but you could look at Oxy, you could look at ExxonMobil. I've got, a bunch of growth stocks on. I've got Snap, which got upgraded this morning. I've got, a Roku position. I've been in and out of Reddit. I, have some beaten up ones like Overstock and Unity right now that have been basing and could maybe turn higher. So I've got a pretty big portfolio of positions right now that are designed to take advantage of this potential trade while being short the Qs themselves via TQQQ right now, as opposed to trying to pick, is it going to be Google? Is it going to be Amazon? Is it going to be Meta that, doesn't perform on earnings? Your guess is as good as mine on that. I wouldn't be surprised if some do well and some do poorly. But overall, I'm expecting some weakness to come into Mag 7.
Let's stay with the Mag 7, and let's just say hypothetically, we get a few misses here. Is it possible? I had a friend from Break Trading, and you probably know Break Trading, a different prop firm, just reaching out, and he's like, "Does the SPY even go down anymore?" Because it seems like when you have Mag 7 weakness, that IWM and all the other stuff in the S&P picks up the slack. Is there a scenario, Derek, where we could actually start to see a sell-off? Is there a scenario out there where they sell all stocks? Is that scenario even out there right now? Because it just doesn't feel like we've had that market in so long. I think the statistics are something like S&P hasn't had a 2% down day in something like 350 trading days, which is like, a long time. Like, it hasn't happened for like 30 years to not have at least 2% down day. Is there a scenario where they come in and sell all stocks? Is it even out there?
Sure. So the question is basically correlation versus dispersion. We've had this big dispersion trade where it's exactly like you're saying. The S&P seems like it's so insulated. Whenever there's a loser, there's a winner that's offsetting it. So if NVIDIA is up a ton, but the S&P is only going to be up a little bit, that means by definition that pretty much the other 450 stocks in the S&P have to be down in order for NVIDIA to go up. So I'm actually still looking for a continuation of that trade. You have to pay attention to the gamma levels of the S&P to really give you a clue there. We've been in this historically high positive gamma environment, which is actually what creates the dispersion trade. The way that changes is if that gamma comes down and goes negative, but it's hard for that to happen because there's so much vol selling that's going. We have all these structured products that JP Morgan and all the big banks have created that are income products for retirees, but they're just selling vol for income, which dampens that move of the S&P. So that's what's creating that dispersion trade. The only way that breaks, and we did see a pickup in correlation in the second half of last week, the only way that breaks is you hit a point where the timing structurally has your gamma come down, and then you get an event that makes the VIX move up at the same time. So if you can get the VIX to break out, which has been a very difficult thing to do, I know we got a little bit of a move back up to 16, but if you can get an event that makes the VIX go higher, then correlations can increase, and then potentially you can see the whole market move down or up together, which is basically something that we haven't seen all year.
Derrick, tell us a little bit about this, free ProDesk virtual trading floor that you're doing next week. What do viewers get when they join that?
Absolutely. So I'm doing a big event next week. So be there or be square for your users. It's going to be, I think, an awesome experience to learn about how my team functions. I'm giving people the opportunity to work with my team of professional traders for an entire week in our virtual trading floor. It's an incredibly awesome environment of people who are doing this for a living. So we get research into that virtual trading floor system every morning, usually starting at about 7:30 a.m. every day, all the upgrades and downgrades, earnings reports, macro research. I personally do a morning meeting at 9 a.m. every day where I present my game plan for the day, my expectations for the market via top-down approach, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, and then I break it down to the individual stocks that I'm looking at for that day at what price points. I then give everyone else on the team the opportunity to present their ideas, which we review. 9:30 to 4, obviously, we're trading, we're communicating. It's an opportunity for people who are joining the room to ask questions about positions that they're involved in for feedback, or to ask me questions about positions that I'm involved in so that they can learn. And then Monday through Thursday, we do an educational afternoon meeting every day after the close. So at 10 after 4, we do a review of what the market did, trying to draw out more or less real-time lessons from what the market did so that everyone can learn. And then every afternoon meeting concludes with a team Q&A, which I describe as like a group mentorship session. It's an opportunity for anyone who is part of the virtual trading floor to ask literally any trading question. It could be as specific as, hey, I bought Apple at 10:30 today with this stop loss and this game plan. Can we review it? To broader questions on, I'm having this issue with a certain part of trading psychology that I need work on, or risk management or money management, whatever it is. My team and I spend as long as necessary pretty much every evening answering every question of everybody on the team. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot of work for me because we're bringing in a bunch of guests. I hope that my team can be patient as we're working with a lot of new people for the week, but it's going to be a great event and you're going to want to be a part of it.
There you go. Well, we've got the link in the description, the QR code up on the screen. I'll also throw that link in the chat right now. So if you want to go check that out again for free next week, go hang out with Derrick. We know he's got some good ideas and you can learn more about his strategies, what his group is doing. Derrick, thanks as always for joining us on Pre-Market Prep this morning. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
I appreciate it, guys. See you soon.
Thanks,
Yes,
Derrick.
sir. All right, guys, that was Derrick Oldensmith again from T3 Trading. That link is in the chat if you want to go check that room out next week. All right, guys, we've got about 8 minutes left. Let's go back to earnings real quick. We'll run through Coca-Cola's earnings. Just
Coca-Cola.
Not moving too much this morning. Stock closed down 0.8% yesterday, up about 6.5% this morning. EPS came in at 84 cents, beat the 81 cent estimate. Sales came in at 12.4 billion, beat the 11.75 billion. The company talked about growing global demand. So anyone out there who said no one's going to drink soda anymore because of Ozempic and all these other things, not the case. At least doesn't look like yet. Coca-Cola doing just fine here, double beat on earnings, and again talked about that growing demand worldwide. But like you said, Dennis, the stock does not move that much.
It's got to be one of the lowest beta stocks that are out there. I love trading Coke actually because it's more predictable. You know, on a day consumer staples, you know, it doesn't have these wild swings which are unpredictable. So you can put big size on it and be comfortable that you're not going to, you know, lose a whole pile of money. Obviously, maybe you don't make a whole pile of money either, but it's always very liquid, you know, and even in the pre-markets, I already trade 227,000 shares. I actually like trading the slower moving stocks that are predictable, but this one here, earnings, it never seems to move more than $1 or two max off earnings. And here you are just within range. I don't know what the expected move was, but Coke just sits there and he just grinds out, you know, another okay quarter. It's just how it works.
Well, it was up near major resistance here. The recent high of the move from last week was 65.81. That was buffeted by a 65.64
Buffeted. Did
high.
you just stop? Did you do that on purpose? Buffeted.
No,
Because Warren Buffett, he loves his Coke. That was good.
It,
I had to stop you in mid-sentence there.
well, thank you. Well, thank you, Dennis. I'd love
That
to
was a
get a
good one.
compliment. I'd love to get a compliment from you. Let's let's have a little compliment jar, and then every time Dennis gives me a compliment, we'll drop $100 bill in there, and I'll have $100 by the end of the
There you
year.
go.
It's
I like that. I knew you didn't do it on purpose, buffeted. I love that.
it got
One of those,
right.
like, Freudian slips.
It man, it kissed 66. There's probably 879,484 shares purchased at 66. The high freaks were leaning on it, saying, I'm stepping out at 97, 98. So now it's going to be a little tougher to get back up to that area, but super extra major long-term resistance. And if you got, let's say you got a big book, where did we cleared out the 65 sellers yesterday. I don't know what you have at 65 and a half. But that even could, we'll see. It might even struggle to open above 65 and a half. Is that, you got to sweep out the book there. Maybe you got some size, but there's your resistance. Harder to find support in Coca-Cola than resistance. Resistance and support. I stand corrected.
Let's transition from recapping some of this morning and yesterday's earnings and do some earnings preview. We're set for some fireworks after the close. Just a few big companies. I mean, you throw Tesla and Google's market cap together and you're looking at, basically almost, let's see. I don't want to mess up the math here. I'm going to guess and say about
just under 3 trillion.
Yeah, under 3. So, Google alone is 2.25, 2.25, and then Tesla's
around 800 billion.
Yeah, you're almost exactly right, Dennis. Almost right under $3 trillion worth of earnings reports coming to you this afternoon. So Google, which we haven't even mentioned, a couple of headlines on Google. Google backtracked on its plan to remove cookies from its Chrome thing. I don't know the exact implications of that, but it has some privacy things. Google also decided, I think it was Wiz, the Israeli cybersecurity company that Tesla was in talks to take over, decided to walk away from the $23 billion acquisition and IPO instead. I have a feeling it was like they saw what happened with CrowdStrike, saw all the other cybersecurity firms start to perk up and said, like, hey, our valuation might have just gone up 10, 20% right there just on that. So maybe we walk away from this deal. Either way, Google is set to report earnings after the close today. That will be, in terms of your Google, typically, because it brings in so much money from advertising and revenue, typically moves some social media stocks with it too. So you can watch Meta, watch Snap this afternoon. Those will most likely be moving with Google's report as well. And then you go to Tesla. We already had some of the big automakers report this morning with GM. But Tesla obviously making right now the number one selling vehicle in North America. We'll give some more insights into how the consumer is doing in terms of that. Likely to move, obviously, all the other EV stocks, but wouldn't be surprised to see it move some of the other legacy car makers as well. And if Tesla talks more about its energy storage side of the business, there are some stocks in the clean energy space that could also move off Tesla's earnings. So lots of implications tonight, not just for the two big companies that are reporting.
Google expected move $11.50. So I would have thought a little bit more than that. So it's actually light on the expected move here. I mean, you automatically think if they blow it away, 200 is going to be a wall of resistance up there, just gets the big psychological number. Obviously, before that, you can go to the all-time high, which was just set a few weeks ago, 193. If they miss, who knows? Katie barred the door as a gap in the charts. Joel, I'll throw it to you, but expect.
I would just say, you had the nice break, right, along with the market, and you're coming back. So trimming, I think people might be trimming here 185 and a half if you get back to that area. Also coincides with a 4-day high. So I keep an eye on that. If they like it and they goose it through this report, there is a double top at 190. I would keep an eye on that. That falls within the expected range. And then on the downside, that recent low, we've distanced ourselves not a ton for 178.21. That's the trap door there. I think you take that out, 178. You get not too far. You get a look at the 175 area. So I just want to hear what they say about AI and Gemini and that and where they're at. I think that's where so much seems like they always make like a gazillion $billion and they
They
beat
do.
on the EPS and
Yeah.
they do all these things. So I think the guidance will be the key for the Gooks.
And AI commentary, obviously,
Yeah.
to your point there. And then Tesla expected move almost $24. So it's expecting a big move off of Tesla. It's almost a 10% move. That's the expected move, just calculating the options by adding up the calls and the puts with the same strike on the closest expiration. 254, it's trading up another couple bucks in. So you are getting a little bit of a Tesla run into the number here. We've been up for about 3 days here now, a couple days anyway, since we bought 236 the other day. We're up about 18 points. Expectations for the quarter aren't that high here, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody expects them to really blow it away, but it's going to be commentary. And what does he say about the robo-taxi? What does he say, about, everything? I know he was tweeting out the other day that humanoids are going to be working in the Tesla plant next year. And then he's thinking a retail or, a commercial product, the year after that. But, what are the timelines mainly on FSD? Like, what are we looking at here? Because, obviously we know the August timeline for robo-taxis is long gone. They're talking October. Is that in the realm? I don't know if it's going to be. I think the commentary here is very important. And so I would say very important to listen to the conference call here and what Musk actually says. And sometimes, he don't answer the questions he wants to answer too. So it's always interesting, Tesla's conference call.
Well, first of all, I mean, GM, you got it, you see in cars being sold. I think that's a positive for Tesla. I think my eyeball indicator, I've seen a lot more Teslas on the road.
A lot of them.
And they're building a Tesla dealership near my house. So I think those are all positive things. From a technical standpoint, I would just look at that recent high of the move, comes in at 274 even, use that as a parameter, or excuse me, 271. And then on the downside, I mean, you don't want to see it breach that low from last week at 233. So got back half of the move. I think people will be trimming today, but I would just go for the highs and the lows from the last 10 days as parameters, because underneath that 233, Dennis, you might get your wish to buy the stock at 200.
I'd like more in the 200s. I think there's a lot of people sitting like me, which makes me think if it dips significantly, like if you actually get a 25-point dip on the earnings, which is the expected move, I think you're going to have buyers beneath. I think even on a disappointing number, people aren't, coming in here. They're coming in here for the possibilities of future revenue streams from other places. And I think it's an AI story now and not just a car company story, because, you get the analysts. There was somebody I was reading on Twitter, the Tesla haters out there, and they're analyzing this as a car company. It should be trading under $100 if you're doing, a traditional PE multiple on this thing. And, we know Gordon Johnson's giving a $22, $28 price target on it. Again, that's giving $0 value to anything else that they're working on, which is absurd. So I do think that there's underneath demand here, folks. So it may dip on the earnings. Some of these dips could be short-lived.
All right. Well, that will about wrap us for the day. Joel, who do we got joining with us tomorrow in the morning? We'll have lots to talk about in terms of earnings and other headlines.
Cameron Dawson will be joining us tomorrow to give us her outlooks on the markets, and we'll have a lot to talk with earnings season. Just a quick note on the S&Ps right now. We've been choppy, but you just port and bounce. We got a nice bounce yesterday, closed over 5,600. I'm looking follow through that high from yesterday and the current high today. Let's just call it 56.17. That's a big level. That's the key to more upside. On the downside, we just had that little break and we just held 5,600. So I call that minor support, but kind of feels like a choppy, non-trending day. But that's what we're seeing early on.
There you go, guys. Well, thanks for everyone who tuned in this morning. Please smash the like if you haven't already. We'll have live trading starting up right after this. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Again, Cameron Dawson will be
Nice.
joining us. Make sure to stay tuned for that. Will be a great show tomorrow morning. Lots to talk about. With that, hope everyone has a great day. Stay green if possible, and we'll see y'all tomorrow morning.